previous video showing Altia deep screen, I actually started in Adobe Photoshop just to show the whole process from the artist's imagination to the low-cost hardware in the shortest amount of time. It was about a 7-minute video from Photoshop to hardware with me explaining every step of the process. I did mention though in step 2 that you could pause for quite a while as long as you want to keep adding to your interface in Altia Design. And so I wanted to show how that step turns out. Well, it just so happens I took that interface and I started making a lot more animations, rotating needles, tire pressure warnings, animated weather icons, that sort of thing. And I went ahead and fleshed out the interface, to be completely live and ready to go on each and every screen. We were talking about previous videos, language switching, so it's ready to go. Now, let's generate code for this just as a start to this video in case you haven't seen that other video or you just want to see this running on hardware. So that's what I'm going to do right now. But then I'm going to go back and make a quick change to this interface and then generate code once more so that you can actually see that using the Altia toolchain you can make hardware level iterations. That is, make a change in your GUI, test it on hardware, and then confirm that it is what you want, rather than make tons of changes to your GUI and then put it on hardware once and hope everything works because the last time you did it was either never or a long time ago, and you have a lot to prove out to make sure what you've developed is still working on hardware. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and click the code generation ribbon and click generate source code. If you've watched the previous video, this might be a little review, but depending upon how many hardware targets you have installed, Altia deep screen targets, you'll see those in this list. And you could visit our website and find out which targets we do support, and we're always adding new targets as well. And then you can scroll through this list and see the very major enables. And what I mean by that is turn on or off anti-alias fonts, dynamic memory, software or hardware scaling of images. If you have image objects that are externally referencing files, do you want to bake them in or use an external file system? Choose your make files, compile flag files, what we call the bat and gen files per deep screen target. But we're set up for the IMX6, so I'm just going to click generate. Now this is actually generating C files and H files, real code, and it's only generating code for what I have in my model. So it's not making some large engine and it's already done. But I'll keep explaining this for a second before we move on. It's not going to generate a big engine that you need just to draw a square. No, it's only generating optimized code for that target that will take advantage of any hardware acceleration, but only for the objects that you made in your GUI. So it's optimized, and the footprint is as small as possible as well. Okay, so we generated code. We have the C and H files, and now we're going to go ahead and actually compile that code. And all we do there is we run the bat file that we generated as a result of our code generation. It's going to pause on the image data bank file because I told it to bake all my image data into the executable. So there's going to be a single binary executable that contains all of my image content as well as my control logic and my user input stimulus events and everything, just one file. Looks like it's through that file. It's going to finish the rest of the link, and if you guys are curious, okay, what actually happened? Well, this is what happened. It started out by generating the code, and that's C files and H files. And then we went into the Ubuntu VMware image because my IMX6 is running Linux, so I needed to compile the code in a Linux environment. The end result is a single executable that matches the name of our Altia design file, and it's got all the image content baked in, so it's 4.3 megs. Jumping over to hardware now, I'm going to go ahead and run top, make sure that nothing else is running. Yep. And then I'm going to actually copy the file that I just built, and that's actually all the way back here to the root folder of the IMX6. Okay. The reason I copy it is because I'm sharing my PC's folder with the IMX6 via NFS. And so I don't want to load the executable over the network. I'd rather just copy the executable to the root folder on the IMX6 so that when it executes, it's executing locally. So speaking of executing the binary executable at the end, deep screen is so flexible when you generate code. Just the choice I made to bake all the image data into the binary. Made the convenience of just needing to copy one file over. But the executable, the IMX6 is pretty fast, so you'll see it will pop up right as we type it. But you can make that trade-off. Do you have more CPU than storage space, or do you have more storage space than CPU? Deep Screen and the code gen options make it easy for you to choose how you want to embed your GUI, not just make you able to embed your GUI. All right, so without any further ado, let me go ahead and run ls, just so you can see that the demo 7 file is right there, demo 7, and we hit enter. Now, as soon as I hit enter, I want to bring up my webcam here. It's running, okay, and let me go poke on the touchscreen so you guys can see what we have here. We've got the tire pressure screen just like we had, animated weather, engine needles, the speedo. So that's that step 1 that I wanted to show you. Altia design to hardware, okay, and it's very, very responsive and very fast. But I do want to go back now and make a quick change. So pink needle is here. I'm going to go make that a green needle and generate code and put it on hardware again. So let's go do that. All right, we're back in Altia design now, and I can actually just use run mode to get to the screen that I want to get to, and then switch to edit mode and start focusing in on my needle object. I'm doing this right now just by double clicking. All right, and then so I've got my needle object selected. It is an image object, no surprise there, but it's speedneedle2.png. So I just change it, speedneedle3.png happens to be a green needle. Okay, so I focus all the way out to the top, put it back in run mode, kind of click through my screens. Everything's working, green needle's good. So let's go ahead and generate code one more time. Same process as before, don't need to talk about this dialog. And again, this new needle is a totally different PNG, and it too, just like the previous needle, is going to be rotated on the IMX6 using full hardware acceleration. Just run the make file once more. Okay, we're back into the, let me hit Control C to kill that process, and I'll just repeat the copy command. So we're going to copy the new updated binary executable to the root folder via NFS. Alright, and then we've got demo 7. So I've just run it, bringing up my webcam, and I can run across and poke at the screen, right? And there is our new green needle that we just made for this demo. Just about 10 minutes now, and we've generated code for a GUI twice, put it on hardware twice, made a quick change, and even verified that that looks okay running on hardware.